welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Christy Santiago.
Hi guys, happy Friday. Welcome to LEAH. It's so good to have you guys here. I don't have the chat pulled up, so to all that are here right now, I have my notes pulled up. So that'll be me, but I will participate in chat later on. I guarantee it. How are you today, Mac?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Could be better, but my voice doesn't sound like I have a sore throat, so that's a good thing. At least I can't hear that it sounds that way. When I hear my voice played back, I'm always like, oh, that's me. But I heard that's everyone, so.
Yes, yeah.
I can't handle listening to my own voice. It's awful. Just awful.
I fall under that category of everyone who
I wonder what that is. Probably should look into that.
Not the same.
Guys, we are living in a very peculiar time. I am a resident of the state of Florida, which has been fighting for the #1 spot in the United States of America for #1 in book banning. We're fighting hard. We've made it to #2 with only Texas above us.
In just a year's time, right?
In just a year's time. Yes, yes.
I mean, to go from third to second does make sense, but they increased it by almost double the books banned in one year, wasn't it?
Right. Yes, I have those numbers for us tonight. I do. I
just wanted to show that I know a little bit about it. I know that much.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are in very similar states. You're the Florida of the Midwest, and I'm the Florida of the Florida.
Yeah, let's not say that, because look, I haven't fully come to terms with it yet.
Right. Yeah, I tried to deny it as well, but then I hear a story of, I missed the Florida man part. I just hear the story of the man, and I'm like, oh, that's Florida. Like, that happened in Florida.
You know, Ohio was, as most people know, it was like a purple state, and it was a pretty, like, it was a good purple state, right? Like,
right,
reliably purple, and now it's just deep red with purple freckles.
Age spots.
Yeah, they're not even blue freckles.
It has liver spots, not even age, just liver spots. Yeah, Florida as well. I do have a couple of sources tonight. I did want to start with a newspaper article I read of a Florida paper on this topic, because I think that it's important to go local also with these stories. Now, I will be using the original, which is a PEN, P-E-N, article that was written. That's what all of this is going back to, the PEN. I will, of course, be sharing that with you guys as well. But I think that this is a smaller paper. It's it's a Miami Times. It's just a local paper. So we're going to start with, only Texas has banned books more frequently than Florida's public schools, according to a national free speech organization that attributed 2 new pieces to the state's legislation with an uptick in verboten books. PEN America, that's where this all comes from, counted 566 Florida book bans spread over the 21 of the state's 67 school districts from July 2021 to June 2022. That compares the 801 bans in effect in 22 Texas school districts. Pennsylvania clocked in at 3rd place with 457 bans in 11 school districts. The report issued Monday, the PEN report, in recognition of Banned Books Week, raises the alarm from critics that this new momentum for banning books could impair the free exchange of ideas that makes America democracy work. Obviously, that is, obviously. In the vast majority of these cases, the new wave is much more than a parent objecting to a book found in their child's backpack, officials from PEN America said. It's coming from organized and coordinated groups such as the National Moms for Liberty and Florida Citizens Alliance. Today's wave of book bans represents a coordinated campaign to banish books being waged by sophisticated, ideological, and well-resourced advocacy organizations. Far-right radical groups is what they are. Said Suzanne Nossel, Chief Executive Officer at PEN America. This censorous movement is turning our public schools into political battlegrounds, driving wedges within communities, forcing teachers and librarians from their jobs, and casting a chill over the spirits of open inquiry and intellectual freedom that underpin a flourishing democracy. The State Department of Education did not immediately return an inquiry seeking comment on these findings, which specifically cited the passage of the Parental Rights in Education Law, HB 1557, and another on K through 12 education, HB 1467, which calls for an open review of all educational materials. According to PEN's study, the banned material most often concerns LGBTQ+ issues and or features a protagonist of secondary character who is not white. I could just leave it right there and everybody understands what's going on. But out of the 1,648 titles that have been banned, 674 of them, or 41%, addressed LGBTQ+ themes. And 659, or 41%, had main characters or secondary characters who were not white. Groups such as the Florida Citizens Alliance, the FCA, which they just make my stomach sick, and even Governor Ron DeSantis, who has members of FCA on his transition team, say they aim to keep obscene materials out of schools and stop indoctrination. But Ashley Hope Perez, author of Out of Darkness, a young adult novel, said the increasing number of book bans is part of a reaction against featuring characters more diverse than Dick and Jane. Her novel, about a Mexican-American teen who falls in love with a Black teen in the 1930s America, was published 7 years ago and hadn't even been challenged until very recently. Using concerns about sexual or graphic content as a pretext for this coordinated effort to block young people's access to books that represent diverse identities and experiences. It's a political strategy, obviously. The group also noted that the new atmosphere has meant that school districts preemptively purge their collections to avoid challenges. It just really gets to me. I really want to go to the PEN one, because this is what it's all about. PEN America on Tuesday presented a joint letter with the We Need Diverse Books and Authors Illustrators of 176 books removed from classrooms in Duval County, Florida. This happened January 22 for review, is what they were told they were being held for. They have been kept in this review storage for over 10 months now, with little indication of when they might return to classrooms for children to read. The removed titles were part of the Essential Voices Classroom Libraries collection, purchased by the district in 2021. Now, this is taxpayer money just sitting there. No one can even use these books. The collection features characters representing a variety of ethnicities, religions, religious affiliations, and gender identities, and includes children's picture books. I mean, some of them is just ridiculous. I don't know if you guys dim sum for everyone. There's nothing wrong with that book. I can't believe it's even in there. Grace Lynn and the Berenstein Bears. Are you kidding me right now? Like, PEN America reported the removal of the books in Duval County in its report released this past September. Quote, banned in the USA, the growing movement to censor books in schools. These are, and I could just go on to that and have written a whole entire thing on that. That's how big this thing is. These are the 176 books banned in Duval County, and it goes on to name them. And I think that's important. I will be linking all of this for everyone. And then I did want to, this is my last source, and I will putting all three of these in our chat and underneath for everyone as well. Florida book bans take censorship to the next level. I'm irate. I am a reader. My daughters love books. My mom loves books. I grew up with books and reading. To take that away, she said it so specifically in that Miami article, the first one, where it is to make narrow the lane of what is allowed politically, what we're allowed to have as diversity of thought. It isn't diverse of thought. It is chosen, which by definition is indoctrination. So them saying we don't want indoctrination it's like everything that comes out of their mouths is an admission. It's just infuriating. Okay, side. I'll get back. Just when you thought things couldn't get any weirder or more depressing on the United States book ban front, comes this plot twist from Manatee County, Florida. The school board near Sarasota recently issued an edict that prompted teachers to remove all books from classrooms in response to these new rules from the Florida Department of Education. This policy states that all books in schools must be approved by a librarian called a certified media specialist, or staff risks third-degree felony charges. With some classroom libraries too large to dispose of quickly, teachers have had to physically cover their books up with construction paper in some cases, or risk possible jail time. Teachers are not allowed to choose books for their classrooms any longer, and only vetted books are allowed to ensure they are free of pornographic material, age appropriate, and don't contain unsolicited theories that may lead to student indoctrination. It's effectively leading to negative option reading, and that's led to the removal of such dangerous books as Sneezy the Snowman and Dragons Love Tacos. Imagine a classroom without books. This is a scene cooked up by fools who are somehow in charge of education, trying to create a nation of more fools. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who signed the bill into law, has presidential aspirations. Imagine edicts like this being issued nationally. It's like goosebumps.
I don't want it.
Felonies, third-degree felonies for our teachers and librarians. Like, it's what?
Yeah. And how are they approving, and what are they calling these special librarians?
Yes, she is. There's certified media specialist.
Certified specialists.
Right. Because if not, they literally risk third-degree felony charges. Dragons Love Tacos, like that is such a fun book.
Sounds like a good book. I like tacos.
The one that I read to the kids for Christmas, the Santa's twin. That probably would never be allowed, just because it goes outside of what is expected of a Santa story. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah,
I'm very glad
I've seen some of the photos of these teachers. You guys should Google Florida teachers covering up books. Any of those put those words in any kind of arrangement and when you're searching in Google, and they take it looks like paper bags from the grocery store, and just unfold them and try to cut. They're trying to, because these books haven't been approved yet. They have too many, which is a good thing for a classroom, but it's not, because none of the kids can even touch them until they have their specialist, their certified media specialist. And no, so who is this person? Who are these people going to be? Are they going to be appointed? Are they going to be elected? Well, of course they're not going to be elected. That defeats the purpose of them stopping children learning things that are outside of their family's deeply held beliefs. That's exactly what it is. They do not want to challenge deeply held beliefs. They do not want to cause any families to feel uncomfortable. And that's where you learn, is that uncomfortable feeling. That cognitive dissonance is where you learn. It's just really sad that this is happening. It's not just sad, it's heartbreaking.
And it's not like any of these books are forced on a child. These
Right,
kids
right.
choose the books that they want to take home.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I love Stephen King actually told, let's see, where is that? The Sunshine State also is the Sunshine State, my state, Florida, also the most ignorant. There's stiff competition for that title, led by Texas, according to a report released in November by PEN America. We've had a few book censorships, controversies in Canada too. Last year, the removal of 3 books from libraries in the Durham District School Board just east of Toronto, including a David Robertson's book, The Great Bear, was reversed after public outcry. But book bans in the United States are becoming so rampant that they are now likelier to elicit heavy sighs rather than shock. Still, seeing these statistics in black and white is alarming. According to that PEN report from July 2021 to June 2022, there were 2,532 instances of individual books being banned in the United States, affecting 1,648 individual titles. The 2 categories most frequently banned by school districts were books with LGBTQ+ themes or prominent LGBTQ+ characters, and books with protagonist or prominent secondary characters of color. Students aren't going to stop being gay. Not that any right-thinking person would want them to, because a book that reflects their experience is no longer available in their classroom. Radicalized children aren't going to stop noticing they are radicalized. While books are powerful, they are not so powerful that they can change a child's identity. Their magic isn't quite that literal, but they can help kids feel better and less alone. And if it's sex these censorious anti-intellectuals are worried about, they may want to have a seat while we break the news to them. Kids don't need to learn this stuff from banned books like Queen Judy Blume, or from Robbie Harris's It's Perfectly Normal, Changing Bodies, Growing Up, Sex and Sexual Health. Another frequently censored volume, which is just science, so insane. They can learn from it from the internet, people, from sources far less trustworthy and much more graphic than books you'll find at a school library. Canadian Margaret Atwood, who I love this author. She wrote The Handmaid's Tale. Canadian Margaret Atwood is another targeted author. The Handmaid's Tale is among the most frequently banned books in the United States. This month, it was among 21 titles banned by the school board in Madison County, Virginia. 4 books by Toni Morrison also made the list, along with 3 by Stephen King. This is fun. This is fun stuff. Mr. King, a vocal opponent of censorship, tweeted this month, quote, "Hey kids, it's your old buddy Steve King. telling you that if they ban a book in your school, haul your ass to the nearest bookstore or library ASAP and find out what they don't want you to read. End quote. I love it. And the new documentary, Judy Bloom Forever, which just had its world premiere at Sundance Film Festival, the Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret author, calls the resurgence of book bans, which often target her novels, shocking. And it's as if time stood still and we're still in the 80s dealing with that whole panic for, evil. This is not just about misguided parents. Book banning is a strategic political act, just like the Miami paper had said. It's a well-connected advocacy of organizations that have been pushing this across the states. PEN America has identified at least 50 such groups, 50, that are actively seeking to ban books in the United States. And it is certainly a political choice to devote effort to protecting children from books rather than guns. I'm going to read that part again. There are at least 50 of these groups that are actively seeking bans of books, and it is certainly a political choice to devote effort to protecting children from books rather than guns. Where does an anti-book culture lead? A recent essay in The Atlantic pointed to two prominent figures who have denounced books. Ye, the former Kanye West, who called himself, quote, a proud non-reader of books, end quote, and Sam Bankman-Fried, who has said, quote, I'd never read a book, a proud anti-Semite and a fallen tech bro facing multiple fraud charges, respectively. I get asked a lot these days about misinformation by people worried that youth are buying into lies about important issues and historical events. My answer always revolves around making sure young people have access to reliable information, the kind most easily found in books, the library over YouTube, always. Kids, keep reading, especially the books you're being told not to read by villainous higher-ups. You're the protagonist of your own story, and information is power. I thought that was really important, that last part. I mean, I don't think I can add anything else to that, but I will be sharing all of these with you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is really wild. Like when I first heard this, I'm just like, man, this got to be a little bit fake.
I agree. It's like felonies for wait, what? It can't be real.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Excuse me, but it's not fake. Let me look up real quick from how many books
Let's see.
I'm wondering.
Share.
Sorry, my keyboard's so clicky.
Is that right? Let's see, and this one. More.
Columbus, Ohio. When was this? September 26, 2022. Because the actions of one school district, Ohio is listed among 32 states with districts banning more than 1,600 books.
Wow.
Most with titles featuring LGBTQ plus themes and characters of color, according to a national index. PEN America detailed 2,532 instances of individual books banned in 138 school districts from July 21 to June 22 in its school book bans index. This ban, the ban affects 1,648 titles by 261 authors, and then the illustrators and translators. Texas leads the index with 801 books banned, followed by Florida with 566, which we know is up now, and Pennsylvania with 459, Tennessee, Oklahoma. I was looking for Ohio, in Ohio, only one district, 30 miles south of Cleveland, Hudson City Schools, is known to have banned books. Last year, the district banned the following 4 books: A Girl on Shore, Lawn Boy, Genderqueer, a memoir, and 642 Things to Write About Yourself.
This is a good one. That's a good one. Like, it's like, that's so sad to take that away.
Yeah. So I'm trying to 32 states. Okay, I see.
To take away Berenstain Bears, I don't care which one it is. Like, you just have to be really, something's wrong with you. How wholesome are those books? God, I loved those as a kid.
Yep. Yeah, this is something to keep up on for sure. This is really interesting. This whole story, this whole thing, that this such a movement for it, and that is just is taking off. In your state, why are you letting this happen, Christy?
Right? Dang it. I guess I gotta go build a wooden cross and start burning it in people's yards or something. That's the only way to get people to pay attention around here.
That'll probably help.
What are you doing this for? To get people to stop banning books.
Right? Maybe we should just start banning certain Bibles from certain churches.
Yes, I do. I love.
Sorry, that's not the new King James version.
There's a meme. You've probably seen it. The meme says something about banning books, but then it has Jesus sitting with children around him. One of those pictures, that are in kids' books, but they took it and put the bubble by it, and it talks about some horrible things that you would not tell a kid at all. And then the Bible verse, like it's Deuteronomy or whatever. Like, yeah, they probably should ban that one. And then if you look it up, it's in there. I mean, I know that, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. No, this one's a shit show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're probably going to talk about this again before the year's end, because I don't see it's not going to get worse before it gets better.
It's crazy that there are 50 groups that are spending their time. The reason for the group existing is to ban books.
Yeah,
so in a free speech country. Like, what?
This reminds me really strongly of, like, I want to explain my thought process and the thought at the same time. I can't do both. So, because I was thinking, to me, as if you've watched this show long enough, you'll know that excuse me, when stupid shit like this happens, I think it's funny, and not a real ha-ha way, but in a really like laughing at the fire.
Yeah, it is. You have to. It's absurd. You have to laugh.
Yeah, it's absurdly funny. And it reminds me of V for Vendetta. People talk about the chaos, like, they had to do some terrible things to get where they are now, but before was chaos. Right. And it makes me wonder, which one here in the next 5 to 10 years are we going to say was the chaos? Right?
Definitely worth thinking about.
Yeah. And I always think that, here in the next couple of years, when something this silly happens in Florida, people are going to be like, I'm not voting for Republicans. That was too much. We're going to go blue, and we're going to say, remember when Republicans banned all the books? That was chaos.
Right. I really hope that that is as chaotic as they're afforded to be.
Right.
Because
And
none of these book bans will stand the test of the Supreme Court. None of them.
not the Supreme Court, no, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't even think that's a given anymore right now.
There's
Honestly.
that as well. Yeah, there's that as well. Even as I said it, I was like, oh.
But I'm
Because,
glad
like, yeah, by the laws, no, it wouldn't stand the test. But by who's in there, maybe it would. And that's
the
terrifying
law.
on its
Who gives a
own.
fuck about the law? We're talking about the Supreme Court, bitches.
Right.
Not the law. Not the
Supremely
spirit
no
of the
six.
law.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it's absurd and it's dystopian and it's not
1984.
consistent. Yes, it is very Orwellian.
Well, that
But
book is probably banned too, so kids won't even know that it's happening.
I can check real quick. It's
I know
1984.
that they wanted Animal Farm. Remember, like 3 years ago, they wanted Animal Farm not to be for children anymore. I'm like, Orwell's Animal Farm is very important for all ages. You
Trying to
know,
see if it is banned.
uh, Animal Farm, the animated film, I watched with my girls when they were little. The book, I mean, who hasn't read that book? This was a few years ago when they
See.
wanted Animal Farm to not be available at a certain age. And I just, if it's in the library, in the kids section, it is a parent's job to see what your children are reading and to help them if they have questions. That doesn't mean to ban it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to debate how much sexual content should be in a high school library. I'm willing to have a debate on that. I can agree that there should be like next to zero sexual like actual sexual um, content in an elementary school or middle school,
Right.
and in those libraries, but in a college library or like any higher learning or
Or public library.
public library,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you go to learn things that you don't get to learn at home. Or because I'm also willing to have a debate on how much you should be allowed to protect your kids from the world, right? Um, because to a point, it gets ridiculous. Because I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, the extreme is you make your kid live in a bubble, literally to the point where you lock them in the basement to protect them. uh, or you kick your kid out, right? There's the other end of the spectrum. It's like, you know what? I don't like what you might become, so get out and just be what you are, but it won't be my fault, right? There's two extremes, but there's so much in the middle, right? And who's to say what's really acceptable? I'm sure there's a good moderate area where most people would fall, but we all differ there. And when you live in a society where you send your kids to school or you drive on a road, you have to deal with the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
And to just be able to have the ability to raise your child as a hateful bigot
Mm.
um, towards 80% or more of society around them. I feel like you shouldn't be enabled to do that. And having school, public school, that your kids are required to go to for at least some length of time, right? Again, I'm willing to have that debate on how long you should be able to homeschool or private school your kids.
Right.
But I think at some point, even you hear of, and I got a decent amount of Amish country around where I live. There's a point, it's like a rite of passage when you get to a certain age and you're Amish, you're supposed to go and like live like a normie, right? Um, basically, like go check out, um, go check out the world and live in the world, and then come back and choose to live Amish. But but we have Jehovah's Witnesses and some Mormons and some evangelical communities. Yeah, I'm blaming a lot of Christians right now. It's usually religious people who are worse, but I'm trying to name the ones who really go for the indoctrination communities most, where they don't want you to get a higher education because you might learn things that will make you hate certain people less or not believe in your God as
Right.
much. And that's just cult behavior. That's trying to make sure that your children live in a bubble, and that
Yeah.
bubble is safe and clean and reinforced to the best of your ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly the problem that Arn Ra, when he was visiting the school boards in Texas, when he was helping them with what should be in the science part of, that's what he
Years,
was finding, was
years,
these people were literal, the words coming out of their mouth were, we do not want our children's deeply held beliefs questioned at school. What is school for then? What is it for? Like, if you only want them to know what you, then keep them at home and only teach them stuff you have. That's, school is for challenging belief, finding
I
who
mean,
you are. It's
I don't,
aggravating.
I, I don't like to say it that way myself because, like, I don't want us to think of school as a place to challenge your beliefs, but it should be encouraged at school to have your beliefs challenged. That's not the point of school. I think should be just making sure everyone has that baseline of knowledge so they can succeed in the world and not walk
Right.
around like nothing. Right?
Right.
Everyone should be afforded that. And it just so happens that when you learn things, sometimes they contradict other things that you think you already know. But
Hmm?
the fact about knowledge is if you hold a wrong thought, you don't know that thing. You can't have false knowledge. So if
Right.
someone's proving you wrong, they are literally just teaching you something. It's not just a difference in opinion. If they are, in fact, and it is hard to realize what is truth and what is not,
Right.
or what is close and what is far from it,
Right.
but you don't get false knowledge. And you ought to strive for knowledge
I agree.
and then spread it because knowledge is actually pretty hard to come by. So you should share it, but that doesn't mean jam it down someone's throat, right? So I don't want LGBT or LGBTQ plus people shoving their gayness down everyone's throat. I just want it available for the children who want to know about that community
Right.
because they don't understand it. They already think that they could be a part of that community.
Mm-hmm.
They have a friend or family member who they
Mm-hmm.
think are in the community, or the colors are pretty on the book. Doesn't
Right.
fucking matter why. It could be any of those or more. No one needs to push equality down anyone's throat, but it needs to be available. Um,
representation in pastimes is very important. Whatever your pastime might be, even if your pastime is, let's say, just going to the movies. If you went to the movies, that was your favorite thing, you saved up for it, and you went every month, once a month, and all you saw were people that looked just like you. I can't imagine that being in America that I live in. I just can't. So when you pick up a book to escape, to be entertained, it should have what you see in the world. Not every book, not for every story, but in the library in general.
Yeah. And if you are seeing the same people at the movies every week or every month, maybe check out different movies.
Yeah.
Find a new book, right? But you don't have to, right? You can pick up the same book at the library every week.
I've done that
You can do
multiple times.
If you want to live in your own bubble, that's okay. But don't force people to live in your bubble, right?
Right.
We're not forcing people to live in our bubble. I mean, to a point, as socialists, we kind of are, actually. We are trying to force equality on people to a certain effect, but we're not trying to literally oppress anyone.
Right.
But we do bear in mind that to the most powerful of peoples, equality feels like oppression. But feels like we don't care about your feelings. Oh, feels like it's actually oppression. So as we bear that,
and you can see it. The Good Liars, one of the best channels on YouTube, period, hands down. The Good Liars and Walter Matheson. So you can watch them ask people who are stuck in the MAGA world and the MAGA cult, if you will. They do live in those bubbles. They do, and when confronted with, well, here's some information, how do you feel about that? It is jarring to watch them kind of like short circuit and then go right back to saying something, and as they're saying it, they're understanding that it doesn't no longer make sense. Like, for example, this was when gas prices were just soaring and kept getting higher every day. This is Joe Biden's fault. Well, you just told me Joe Biden wasn't the president. Trump's still the president. So how is this Joe Biden's fault? You can see it circuiting, and if it wasn't for people that are willing to put themselves, I mean, put their body in danger to go to these rallies, even though they're dressed like one of them, and to ask these hard-hitting questions. Some people find it just to be comedy. I find it educational comedy, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It helps me understand asking them logical questions is not going to do it. They did not get to where they are in their beliefs logically. It's helped a lot. And as far as, yes, I do think that I am a socialist as far as my politics go, absolutely. And I think that I don't push that at all. I think that maybe we should talk about it more often. I just think that we're so skewed to the right in this country. Just saying the S word freaks people the fuck out. It just does. So I'd rather talk about, this is my policy position on this policy. And here's why. Yes, it's coming from a socialist ideology, but I don't need to even mention that, because as you guys know, as Mac knows, when talked on a policy level, person to person, most people are going to, for the most part, agree. They just are. They want what's best for their family. They want what's best for their loved ones. And when you explain to them that is what this is, that it's very easy for them to say, well, then I agree with that. But that's why misinformation and disinformation is so prevalent right now. We have never in humanity's history had so much information at our fingertips, and at the same time have no fucking clue what to do with any of it.
You're having as much difficulty talking as I am.
I know, my Tongue's not working.
I may be rumming. Wow, I may be rumming on empty. Why is it rumbling?
It's rubbing me under the table, you guys.
I want a shirt that says I'm rumming on empty. I want it, I need it, I'm gonna have it made. You will see it soon. I promise. You will see it soon. That said, what I was actually going to say is that I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
I am running on chips and salsa and 2 canned margaritas.
See, you don't need to explain any of that. How many children do you have?
6.
See, that's the end of that story. That explains there. I have 6 children. Everybody goes, oh,
I don't
okay.
need to blame everything on them.
Yeah, but 3 is a lot. You have double that.
That's that.
Don't get me wrong. I think that it's amazing. I love that they're all at these great ages. They're watching their little faces while I was reading that book. Oh, so much fun.
We're gonna do another one here the next week or so.
Yes. I have lots of good books.
All right.
Banned books with Antichrist. Oh, okay.
They already do. Okay. We're gonna move on to our next topic, and it will be much shorter, I think. We'll see. Okay. This story is about rich people and how much money they have, and also us, who have a lot less money than they have. So, Oxfam International just came out with this report, and basically what it says at the top here is richest 1% bag nearly twice as much wealth as the rest of the world put together over the past 2 years. They took home 2/3 of the world's wealth the last 2 years. So that's not great, but it makes you feel any better. A tax of 5% on the world's multimillionaires and millionaires could raise $1.7 trillion a year, which is enough to lift 2 billion people out of poverty. This is worldwide. This is not just US, our mostly US listeners. So that's fun. That's only 5%. They wouldn't miss it. I'm pretty sure. But if it was 10%, does that just mean we would lift 4 million people out of poverty?
Right.
What if we taxed them 50%? And all of them were just 100,000-aires and millionaires.
Jesus.
Right?
It makes sense. I mean, just the last story and this story together. If you just sit back and you look at the political, theater that's happening, why? Because of stuff like this. Your story right now. It's not even 1%. It's like the 1% of the top 10%. That tiny little bit cannot keep minority rule unless there is misinformation and disinformation. They just cannot. Having books in the library for this next generation that helps them understand who they are, who the people around them are, and be empathetic cannot be allowed to stand if they want to have that minority rule. Oh.
All right. I'm going to teach you something.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm ready.
I've never taught you before, but everyone already knows it. I'm going to piece something together for you, and I hope you feel enlightened. I do, because I just thought of it. Here you go. I am a grocery store clerk, for the most part. But whatever. I stock groceries. I stock cookies. So listen to me. I have some brain knowledge to share with you about the world.
Right.
Okay? We're going to talk about we're going to talk about knowledge like they're cookies on the shelf.
Mm,
Okay?
yes,
Are you following me?
I am. And I want some cookies, so I'm listening.
Yes. And with that, keep in mind that I would like to be known currently right now as the Cookie Monster. Moving on. So, there's a funny thing that happens with inflation. If you notice on the grocery store shelf, prices go up, and at the same time, what else happens? You know, Christy?
Hmm.
You know where I'm going with this?
Well, when prices go up, you can't get as much.
Yeah, see, there's that. But there's a grosser thing about it. Not a grosser thing about it. It's not our fault. We just put it on the shelf.
Right.
But this happened at Subway when I worked there. This happened at
Okay.
Arby's when I worked there. This has happened at the grocery stores that I've worked at.
Okay.
When the prices go up
Hmm.
during notable inflation,
Okay.
sizes of the packages go down.
Oh yeah. We were talking about that. The Gatorade is still the same height, but now it has a waist because it's not 32 ounces anymore. I'm
Yes,
like, oh,
yes. All of your bags of chips
uh-huh.
just went from like 12 or 13 ounces to about 10, 10 and 3/4 ounces.
10.5 was the one. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's happened. It happens. I've seen it happen before. Now what you'll see, especially with Keebler cookies,
Mm.
is excuse me. Their cookies, normal size, have shrunk. Okay.
Right. Shrinkflation. That's what they were calling it. Shrinkflation.
Is
Yes.
it? That's a good
Yes.
name for it.
Yes,
It's
it is a
very
thing. Yes.
So when that happens, the family size is just like an ounce or two more than what the original size was 6 months ago. Trust me, I look at them all the fucking time. So you can more or less take my word for it here. But you see it happen when you go to the grocery store. And this just reminded me of this cookie problem, what you were saying. So when capitalism has its way, and when it is allowed to run rampant, it basically tries to turn into people, right? Like it just like basically like rich people on everything. So we had factory towns. We've mentioned factory towns in this show before. What happens is these companies try to work the life out of you. And it's not the point. They're not trying to work the life out of you unless they're in
You know karate. They can't do that. You know karate.
they can try. But first they try to work the life out because maybe you're easy to replace, or as many hours as they can get out of you, it's just more money in their pocket, right? And we have mentioned in the show again before that the harder you have to work to just make ends meet, the less time you have to inform yourself enough to try to change it. Again, if you stop and think about it, you can think of any of it, like you can come up with this assumption yourself if you haven't already. Most of our viewers are mostly agree, but that's cool. Fine, whatever. Point is, something funny happens when they reach their goals in a factory town. That they realize people are not happy.
There's
They
that.
have to prove the happiness of their workers. So they do it on their own terms. They create factory towns. It's like they'll start renting out of apartments, as we just saw on a headline somewhere, I can't remember what it was. Soon you will own nothing and be happy about it,
Right.
because ownership is responsibility, right? And when you're already worked so hard that you don't have time for responsibilities, actually sounds good if you're unemployed, right? If the cycle has worked on you, it makes sense. And then they kind of control the education when it's owned by a corporation or a monarch, right? Or just runaway government.
Well, yeah, capitalist businesses are ran as a dictatorship. There is,
and ran as a business too.
Yeah, all businesses are ran like dictatorships. Yeah, I mean, it just is. What the boss says goes. That's it.
Yeah. So what I want to go back to is your normal cookie size will go back up when inflation calms down.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, now 20% more cookies. And then years after that,
oh yeah, the
20%
cereal
more cookies for free. Wow.
Yep.
And it's basically just what you had like 4 years ago. But now,
Right. God, that's true.
They've come back
That's
up. So
so
then
true.
so then they can shrink it again when times get hard, and they still show that their profits are going up. But the same thing happens with companies like Amazon that want to make a company town, right? First, they run their workers fucking ragged. And then they're like, hey, I have a solution to make your life better. So they cause a problem, and then they ask you to pay them more money to fix the problem. Like, if you keep buying our cookies, we'll give you more cookies. If you keep working for us, we'll make this community together so much better. We'll even give you a school. And this works not only with capitalism, but anything that lets power run rampant.
Right. No, you're right.
That's why I really think that socialism, communism kind of things, systems, are better because they are very democratic, which spreads power, spreads it. It doesn't let it conglomerate too much. Look at these peaks where people fall down the slants, and some people can stay at the top. You don't need a completely socialist system or a completely communist system, because that can get kind of wild too. Because then you literally have what right wingers are afraid of, mob rule. You don't necessarily want mob rule, but we also want mob to slap people at the top around, to be like, hey, we don't like that. You might have too much power, right? We don't all actually have to be equal, have equal outcomes. We just need the majority to be able to stop awful conglomerations, whether it be the government, which again,
monopolies and conglomerations. Yes, absolutely.
Any of that.
Yeah, and it should not just the top 1%. Anybody who wants to have that type of power should know that the mob of people that you live with are going to say, no, that's too much for one person to have.
Right.
And I think that's good.
Excuse me. And if you're worried about mob rule getting outlandish, it requires two things. Okay. So this is my two things right off the top of my head. I didn't plan any of this part of the talk. One is laws. You actually need a government, and you do need some private entities like workplaces to make fucking Tupperware, whatever, right? But you do need laws in society to keep the crazies, or the crazy part of the mob, in check, so that even if we're given a whole bunch of government handouts, some people don't have to work, the crazy ones get those rights taken away and get taken to jail, right? The dangerous ones. But also, you know, people who try to steal too much power. They have to go to jail too because fraud. Because if we had better tax codes, this shit wouldn't happen. Anyways, number two. And I'm hoping that our people who are religious of any kind who watch this show can agree with me here. You have to have faith in humans a little bit, please. Like, just trust that we're not all the worst kind of animals. We actually do want what's best for at least our friends and family. So you gotta have a little bit of faith in humanity. And if you don't you already, and other people around you, and rich people? There's so many people who are like, man, Taylor Swift has to say this. And I love Taylor Swift. But her cat being worth $97 million is utterly just fucking insane. It shouldn't happen. Her cat should be taxed way more than that. And I can't apologize for it. So it's not hard. It's not hard. These are, I feel like these are simple concepts, but we don't have time throughout our busy days with our 6 kids and our 2 jobs each to sit down and think about this all the time. I am afforded a lot of liberties. I'm pretty good at my job, and enough people like me to where I can get away with a headset all day.
And people like me.
And people like me.
And people like me.
Yeah. No, honestly,
I'm a people, and I like you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But not everyone is in a job or in a position where they can kind of screw around the rules and listen to news and politics and economics and religious stuff all fucking day long, right? I use that time that I more or less learned, or take, whatever,
right,
to my advantage to try to educate myself.
Yes.
Because now, after I've gotten past my 20s, in my 30s, I care about what I learn now.
Right. No, it's admirable too. A lot of people don't get that or get that chance, or just the to be in a place in life, right, that you can, I have some time, I'm gonna spend it learning, or it's just they're surviving, to the next, and that is how a lot of people are, unfortunately, across the globe, not just here, across the globe. And it is advantageous for the 1% you're talking about to have the majority be like that. They don't have time to educate themselves, to think these deep thoughts, to have these philosophical conversations with your own self. Yeah. And I think it's admirable that you, in your 30s, in your 20s, started doing this as a dad, as you don't just have a job, you have 2 jobs and a parent. That's 3 jobs. And so it's admirable. You get a gold star right on your forehead.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
No, but this is why education is in my top 3. Like money and politics, healthcare for everyone that is fucking paid for by the government, and education. Not climate change. It's not in my top 3. So I want to be clear that I did realize that I left that out. And I want to explain why. Because unless you get money out of politics, you're not going to get enough change to get healthcare for everyone. I think not in the way that we need it. But it could happen, in which case we still need money out of politics. So They're pretty much tied for first and second. And immediately after that, we need education. but we need to
Yeah,
fight for it like it's a number one still. Like the top
right,
three, so big for me. And once we get education down and um, achievable for everyone,
right.
including free college at
Yes.
any age.
Yeah. No,
If
I'm
you
with
don't
you.
want to jump right in right after high school, if you want to quit high school when you're 16, I don't think you should do it. But if you do, it's still always free to go back, finish and get
Right.
your high school diploma. When you're 60 and you've never gone to college and you want to go back,
Yes.
fucking do that.
Go,
It's paid for.
go
We are
back
the
just to
greatest
learn.
country in the world.
Hmm.
And the more you learn, the more you'll realize climate's a big fucking deal.
Yes,
It should
knowledge is
take care of itself.
powerful.
It is super powerful. We can't change the world if we don't change ourselves.
Exactly.
So that's where I
Exactly.
stand on all of this. Money,
Mm,
education,
mm.
health, water. So
I think that America will never ever have the socialist policies that I would dream of. I know this. I see this. But I do believe that this nation could be a very healthy mixed economy. Very healthy mixed economy, like the Scandinavian countries have done. I think that if we were to do what a scientific mind does, and they say, okay, what are the options out there? Let's look at them when it comes to education. Who's having the best results and what and why and how and what are they doing? And then you implement those things to your own curriculum. Finland, to me, my opinion, has the best education on the planet. They outlawed private school because all schools get the same funding, period. They do not do, like ours are property taxes. That's what pays for education in this country. Well, there as well, but they take it all in as a nation, and then it gets allocated as a nation back out, not per county, per rich county, per poor county. And the teachers, there's 4 adult teachers in every class. There's the doctorate. You have to have a doctorate to be a teacher. There's your 2 masters who are probably going to go on to get their doctorate. And then you have one who is even less than that. And all 4 are in every single class. Education is what they have decided we want to be the best at. And they've put so much into it. I'm not saying there aren't things that are wrong. Of course there are. But what they found is that boy or girl or family of children who have a single parent, who struggle to get new shoes, they don't have the best clothes, is going to school with the kid whose parents own the town pretty much. Now they're growing up together. So it's going to be harder for that kid who now has all this wealth, who has inherited old money, to be cruel to his friends, which it has shown that it is working, because there aren't, oh, you're a working class family. I don't know any of those. Or I'm a working class family. I don't know any families that aren't. It just puts them all together as it should be. Now they're all Finnish. It is, that hierarchy is taken out as kids, and there's always going to be bullies. There's always going to be kids who have more and kids who have less. But by doing these things as adults who understand these things to limit the amount of damage they can do, I feel like it's our motherfucking responsibility. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just do.
Well, I also do, and this is the kind of patriotism and nationalism that I agree with. That if you are going to identify as a nation, as a conglomerate of people who live on a certain plot of land or lands, because they're not all fucking connected, um, with U.S. territories, might I add, please, then we should judge ourselves by
Yes, Maya. Sorry.
are
Yes,
the
yes.
best
They are. Finland is #1 in education. Yes, ma'am.
We are the best by how we take care of our people. In education, healthcare, food security, housing, and I was going to say another. That.
I to add to that, I've been told that, you know, it's wishful thinking or it's a leftist ideology, but the happiness index is important. I know countries can't even have a happiness index until they get to a point where the people in that country aren't trying to just survive every day. They get to a point where they have free time. They have money to invest in things they want to do free time. That happiness index is so important. And our country doesn't score anywhere on that happiness index. The Scandinavian countries do, because they actually put into legislation things that are about making the people there happy. Like how it sounds so silly and so cliche, but it is very important to have happy citizens. Happy citizens don't shoot up schools. Happy citizens do not bomb buildings. Happy citizens aren't doing things like Proud Boys are doing. They're just not. That's why the happiness index is important. On top of those that you mentioned that are not even negotiable. I mean, food security is non-negotiable. Water, you know, and healthcare, to me, those things are non-negotiable. And I would love to get to a point where happiness index wasn't just like these countries here. It was something that the world got to experience. God, that would be wonderful. I know. A girl can dream.
Right?
Yes, I know. I did see like, okay, so when you understand that planting a tree is going to give shade to people you'll never meet, you'll understand what living is about. I love that. I love that. And that's what I think humanism really is about. It's about leaving the area we found ourselves in this life better than how we found it. That's it. That's it. You know, maybe the things that we talk about here helps things we'll never know about. That's fine. I think that I love that. And I know I'm just paraphrasing it, but it is so important to think about that. When you do plant an oak tree, you'll never sit in its shade. Someone else will though, and it's very important that you did that. And I just, those people that sit underneath that tree won't even know about you or that you even existed, and it should still be that important to you. So plant that tree. So I don't know, that's a good place, I think.
A tree hugging Christy.
Yeah. Oh, love you guys so much. Thank you for spending your Friday night with us dorks. Yeah, and Nacha, our Lord and Savior. Yeah. I do have something funny. Okay, see, there's an inversion table. Hold on, right here. This thing right here is an inversion table. Okay, silly butts in our chat said, is that how you do Zoom calls with Nacha? Because he's upside down. Is that serious? So is that how you talk to Nacha? Because it's like, I mean, obviously, hello, it's in here by the computer. Obviously. That's the only way you do it. Yeah. The only way we can talk for him.
He's doing a laugh with an Australian accent.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yes, it is hilarious. It is. I'm like, yeah, oh, that is behind me, isn't it?
That's so funny.
So now you guys know when we have to do a call with Nacho, we have to get in the right position.
That was rich.
Oh, God. Okay. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and then, you love you. If you have any topics you want us to cover on the next show, why don't you leave it down in the comments? Leave us a comment down in this video, because we don't usually get those. Usually you guys just like do the live chat thing, which is fucking amazing.
Yes.
But post a comment. Make us feel cool. Make us feel like
just one word. Just one word. We have to figure out what it is. What do you want us to do?
Monkeys. We are literally monkeys, and we will dance.
We
So please
will.
tell us what to do.
The banana is real or not. Oh, I love you
I'll do
guys.
anything for a fake banana. Okay,
For
I
a
hope
fake-
that out. But we're gonna leave the show with that.
Stay humanist.
For
For God's sake.
God.